Yes, it is. It's a Monday, and what you're seeing right there is a little inside look from Strohauer Farms. Is potatoes, right?
That got garbled.
They're plucking potatoes right now, and it's a Monday again. Alongside of Jay Parker and Brian Freeman, I'm Greg Hollenbach. We've got a big show for you. It's August 24th, and thank you for joining us. It must be 2 p.m. in the Mile High City because that's when the Modern Eater Show is on the air. Big day tomorrow for us, boys. You see those potatoes?
Yes, sir.
What are they for?
They are for the summer dinner series tomorrow at Pizza Republica.
It's week 7, right?
Yep.
Okay, Jay, who's week 7?
Week 7 is the butcher, formerly known as Chef Justin Brunson.
You can't get his food anywhere, man. Old Major, not his anymore. It's Chef Amos Watts, right?
The 5th string.
Justin Brunson, exclusively River Bear American Meats. It's going to be a pleasure for this sold-out evening at the well-appointed, spacious Pizza Republica Downtown. Man, I am looking so forward to it. It's going to be a hot one, but we'll cool down with some delicious drinks. We've got a great distillery coming with us for Distillery 291, Joyride Brewing Company. We've got Carboy Winery. It's all's well in the world. We'll step off smartly tomorrow at 6:30 p.m., and that's where our happy hour will begin, and then dinner at 7 p.m. I'm really looking forward to that. In the meantime and in between time, later on in the show, Brian, Amber Strohauer will join us via Zoom.
Yeah, nice. I know she's down in hot Texas and not having as much fun as she would be up in here in Colorado. She's bummed she can't get to see the summer dinner series or even be there, but we're going to have her live at the dinner via Zoom so you guys get to see what Colorado Potatoes is all about.
All right, here's a treat. Let's introduce our guest right now. Robert Thompson joins us, and he's got a new project. He's doing the Thompson Growth Group. You might know Robert, formerly known as the CEO and I believe chairman of Punch Bowl Social. He resigns his positions at Punch Bowl Social, and he will move forward. He joins us now. Robert Thompson, welcome to the Modern Eater Show. Good to see you.
Hey, guys. Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely. A lot to talk about, right? Here we are, mid-pandemic. Business is really interesting. We've got the best of the best that come on the show, Robert, and we just like to kick around, hey, how does it look out there? Last week, Chef Troy Gard on the show, he was visibly worried, right? Visibly worried about the future. You've been quoted to say a couple of things. Right now, the real devastation of the restaurant industry is yet to come. First of all, let's just start out with that sentence, and then we'll just kind of look to see. We'll go down Punch Bowl Social, and then we'll touch on the new project, the Thompson Growth Group. But talk about the overall sentiment of the restaurant industry right now, if you would.
Yeah, sure. Right now a lot of restaurant groups are being artificially propped up by PPP funds, and for a while they're enhanced or amplified unemployment. So the PPP funds were providing liquidity for the businesses to either pay rent or pay employees. And the amplified unemployment was putting liquidity into the economy through people. And with the unemployment ratcheting back down and the PPP funds, the forgiveness period of PPP expiring this fall for most restaurants or restaurant groups that accepted it, that artificial structure is going to disappear, and restaurants are going to start to fall. And I only say that because I want people to understand that there's still a lot of support that restaurants need out there. If you think your local, brew pub or coffee shop is doing great because it's still open, wait until about October 5th when they don't have that free liquidity from the government to support them anymore. That's when we're going to start to see restaurants actually close their doors permanently.
You know what? I'm right there with you, lock, stock, and barrel with pretty much everything you said there. I've been saying that right now with that infusion of fiat currency from the federal government without anything exchanging hands, a good or a service exchanging hands, and then inflating what is out there, that hyperinflation will kick in at some point. When businesses start figuring out, do I need to sell a $30 cheeseburger to stay in business? And it's going to get really interesting out there right now. Punch Bowl Social, in particular, going from $120 million to a screeching halt zero, how could anybody survive in that environment, right?
Yeah, I think that we sort of had some complicated circumstances add to our situation. We might have had a punch and shot at making it as a company. The brand will prevail. I want to be clear. The brand will be here for a long time, and I'm glad I believe that to be a true statement, and it makes me happy. I mean, I founded that company and I created the concept model, and I like to think I left a permanent stamp on the entertainment category. But the company will go through a reorganization of sort, whether it's judicial or just some other type of asset cleanse.
When building the company, what was your mindset? Obviously, I mean, okay, let's start here. Could a Punch Bowl Social survive if, say, the new normal is what we're looking at right now, a social distancing, that COVID takes form in different ways and it continues on into the future? Is a Punch Bowl Social environment viable to the world we live in right now?
Well, punch bowls have outsized cubic footage, right? So it's a safe indoor environment. It's one of the safer restaurant environments you can be in a COVID state. But it's not just the physical distancing that's an issue. It's some of the other restrictions that make it hard for a punch bowl or any entertainment brand to survive, and that's the 10 o'clock last calls. The fact that in entertainment, typically 35 to 55% of the revenue comes from corporate events. And with those being a zero at the moment and losing an entire day part by having to close at 10 p.m. because, punch bowls are active until 1:30 in the morning. So with those constraints, no, they couldn't make it if this were a permanent state.
Take us through the growth. I find it fascinating, just starting with a concept. Do you mind just going through soup to nuts on really how you developed the concept and then really just building off of it and as a entrepreneur, a lot of times is how do you grow past your own certain imagination? How do you get good people around you, and how do you infuse money as well to realize the overall dream? Do you mind kind of just taking us through the steps of the process?
Sure, happy to. It's actually a little bit of a foreshadowing of what I'm doing with Thompson Growth Group, because I'm ideating new concepts, and so happy to take you how it worked at Punch Bowl. I like to start with understanding who my customer is, who's my target customer, and then I go deep into their psychographic. And so for Punch Bowl, it is millennials, and then in the last 3 years, it's been increasingly also Gen Z. And so from ground zero, or from genesis of creating a concept, I like to think about as I'm building, designing it, creating menus. I'm always reflecting it off of the data that's available with respect to the my core audience. Once I feel like I've dialed that in, I've got the design menus, and the authenticity is palpable. Then I move on to my real estate strategy, and I think what's the ecosystem where this thing thrives? Like where do I put this thing so that it reaches full blossom? And so it starts with those two elements, and then somewhere along the way I start bleeding into the economics, and that's a relationship between the real estate decisions and how much capital it costs to launch each new location, and then you start to get into the real boring stuff, which is, okay, what's my annualized return on cash for the investment, and then trying to figure out all of those dynamics that make it work. Now, if you get all those right, you can raise capital. You can go find more growth capital. And for Punch Bowl, we were able to capitalize it through retail capital along the way, just a capital syndicate. And then in 2017, I was able to bring in the first institutional round of capital with L. Catterton, which is a premier private equity group out of Connecticut. And then in 2019, I replaced Catterton with a strategic partner in Cracker Barrel, not because Cracker Barrel added anything to Punch Bowl, but because they needed growth. They're a publicly traded company. Before COVID, they were a $3 billion market cap. And we provided growth, and we provided access to a customer base of urban millennials that they don't have access to. So the puzzle pieces fit well together for that transaction, and they were eventually going to buy the entire company.
There were a lot of steps in there. Robert, and we're geeks of this, so I want to go a little bit slow, and I'll bet you Brian's got a question too, and I do as well. Robert Thompson here with us. We've yet to talk about Thompson Growth Group. You're going to want to stick around and talk and hear about the future of that. Resigns as CEO of Punch Bowl Social, and we're kind of just going through the steps, but I want to go back just to that first property. First of all, the first property was where? Is that the one on Broadway?
Yep. First and Broadway.
First and Broadway. And what year was that born?
I signed the lease in 2010, and we didn't get it open until 2012. We had asbestos along the way. It was just, some people forget that I founded Punch Bowl during the Great Recession. So I'm actually a believer that great things can come from crisis. And so raising capital during the Great Recession was a challenge, but we got it done, and we ended up, sort of defining a category as a result.
Did you see that first store, that first location as just a one and done, and that was your stopping point? Was that your vision to begin with that, or did you always build to scale?
Prior to Punch Bowl, I built everything to be just one-off concepts customized for the location that they were in. Punch Bowl is the first business that I founded that I designed it for growth. So Punch Bowl, from the first moment that it was an acorn in my mind, I was processing it to be a growth concept.
All right, here's what I really like it. Right now in the process of really kind of doing the same thing with the modern eater, and scaling and procedures are a very difficult thing, as you well know. In the midst of just finished with the book Traction. I don't know whether you've gotten into that book or not. Traction's a great book.
Someone else recommended it to me recently, so
is that
sounds
right?
Like I need to.
Well, it sounds like you could probably write a book like that. But when you were building Punch Bowl Social, did you build it? You mentioned that you built it to scale. What were some of the things that you had to do in order to realize that dream? Because really, for a lot of businesses, that is a dream to be able to do.
You have to you have to pay attention to your operating metrics. If you can't get a single location to drive 20% profit at the store level before you add in corporate G&A, you're never going to get any traditional private equity to invest into you.
Yeah.
So you really have to build a model in a way that you can get to at least 20% profitability. And that's, often a challenge in the restaurant industry. And that's why only certain concepts are supposed to grow. And some are, fine just being onesies, twosies.
At the end of the day, when you are looking for money, money really likes the idea of organization and procedures. What was the second Punch Bowl that you opened up?
Yeah. So the second one was in Portland, and that was a bit of an odd deal. I think I would redo it again, but it was a situation where the landlord came to me and offered me 100% of the capital to open up in their center. And it was an odd center, and it's not the typical Punch Bowl real estate profile. But I took the project on because we were early stage, and it struggled for a couple of years, and then it started actually making pretty good money. After about the first 18 months, it really started to throw off consistent cash. But back to your originating question there, when we're trying to scale up, you have to go ahead and make the painful and expensive decision to invest into your personnel infrastructure. Mm-hmm. And that's something I did early. I developed my C-suite at Punch Bowl while I was opening my second location. So I sort of did everything myself for the first one here in Denver. And while I was developing the second location, I started hiring the C-suite, and that's expensive. And you end up having to do a combination of giving away cash or paying cash and equity to people. But it's important. That's the only way you're going to get real capital to follow you, is if you have a real organization developed.
I know it. And so that point to where, the conundrum is you start to ask yourself, well, would I rather have 2% profit off of a $100 million company or 20% profit off of a really well-run $1 million company? That's where it starts getting interesting. When did you, using the term traction, when did you find that you were really accelerating and had that traction? And it must have been a kind of a scary thing as well. He didn't like the question.
No, I'm sure his phone rang.
Yeah. At Punch Bowl, I had traction with Punch Bowl 2 years before I ever opened it. And that's the bizarre truth, that I had some success in my career opening up one-off concepts and had won a number of Best New Restaurant awards. And so when I announced that I was developing Punch Bowl, which was sort of related to some other big box concepts I'd done earlier in my career, the landlord community perked its head up and started paying a lot of attention. And I knew I was onto a winner when I had, effectively a landlord come to me before I ever opened up the first location and offered to completely finance the second location. And that is, that's a surreal moment.
Very interesting.
I'd like to jump in
Sure,
here real quick,
please.
Robert.
What a great conversation.
Your idea around Millennial and Gen Z, are you at all changing gears right now?
Is this the future conversation?
Well,
I don't want to get there yet.
Okay, it's the bridge. Yes, it's sort of the bridge.
All right, let's do that bridge. That's a great moment right now, Brian, and you're really catching on to that. You've been quoted to say, right now is the time for development mode and not the time for asset management mode. I think that that's a really key thing for you to maneuver into the future with the new project, Thompson Growth Group. So that's a great segue. Are you good on time? Can we pause here real quick for a couple of words from local sponsors?
I'm good. I'm having a good time. Let's keep chatting.
That's fantastic. Okay, Robert Thompson here with us. This is fantastic. We kind of just went down memory lane, but I wanted to plumb his brain, Brian, about really how you do that, because Punch Bowl Social always struck me as like very cool concept and then accelerate. It just went for it, right?
Yep.
And you watch that happen. Good or bad in today's climate? I don't know. It's hard to $120 million company screeching to a halt, to a zero, especially in the gathering, the 10 p.m. curfew. There's all kinds of strikes against it to be able to survive. Anyway, clean break off, new project coming up. We're going to break off and talk about that, talk about the future, talk about development mode. What does that mean? Because you need to put a strategy into place and then go. I want to hear about it. Thompson Growth Group, we'll hear about that as we break away and come right back. It is a Monday, August 24th. You're listening and watching The Modern Eater Show.
Hey guys, Chris Johnson here, owner of Rome Sausage, your hyper-local source for all things sausage awesomeness. My family is proud to carry on the fine traditions of Rome's founder, Jerry Rome, by producing a variety of amazing sausage in small batches with an eye on quality, not quantity. Every batch is made here in the great state of Colorado by hand mixing spices, utilizing lean cuts of pork to make an outstanding product. Sourcing ingredients and materials locally, we are committed to supporting local vendors, chefs, restaurants, and the entire Colorado food scene. Getting hungry yet? Brats, Italian, breakfast, hot Polish, green chili, chicken apple, and the world's best chorizo. You can source all of our sausage through a variety of food service distributors. If your distributor doesn't carry it, call us. We'll come direct. You want a custom item? We'll do that too. Samples, and of course, sausage jokes, can be had by contacting me directly at chris@romesausage.com or by phone at 303-296-7663. The Modern Eater loves Rome Sausage, and I know you will too.
Hey, Zach Ryder here, Colorado Mills Sunflower Products out of Lamar, Colorado. Your only local source, grown from a local crop to produce a local oil for local chefs. You can find it at Shamrock Foods, What Chefs Want, Seattle Fish Company. Let me try it one more time, then we'll see. Hey, restaurants, we're glad you're reopening. From Colorado Mills Sunflower Oil, we'll see you soon.
First, we partner with the best farmers in the world, and then we tell them, we will take it all. Process whole spices daily, blend custom spices to order, keep it fresh, safe, and flavorful, all so that you can get back to doing what you do best. So whether you're a restaurant, a food manufacturer, or an at-home cook, be sure to visit The Spice Guy at www.thespiceguyco.com.
Hey guys, with Modern Eater, this is Rich O'Brien with Elevation Food Service Reps. I'm here with one of our sales newly appointed hospitality specialist, Kalina Hilliard, and we're here in our showroom, and we've got our bar set up, we've got a lot of time. Come see us, come see what we've got, and Kalina can help you guys out in the world of hospitality with anything. Take a little journey into the 38th Avenue kitchen just to see what's going on in here, and as I come in here, I'm noticing Howard, what are you doing? Nothing. Show me, what are you doing?
Nothing.
Nothing? Look at this beautiful equipment in here. Look at this beautiful... Chefs, restaurateurs, anybody that has anything to do with food service, come on over. We'd love to help you with menu development, love to show you everything about equipment, and maybe we'll even have a few pops.
Okay, welcome back, and we'll get back to Robert Thompson in just a moment, formerly Punch Bowl Social and new project Thompson Growth Group. A great business right here, and I also think that Robert used Jeff Rourke and A Plus Beverage Solutions in a couple of his build-outs. He is the most trusted man in the business, locally owned and operated, a family man, 20 years in the business. He's doing a lot of maintenance stuff right
These
now.
days, yeah.
And just got off the phone with him actually today. He'll make an appearance on Thursday. Jeff Rourke is, again, making your tap dreams become reality, and truly trusted with some of the biggest, baddest build-outs around, but also doing the add-a-line and maintenance type of thing, which is very, very important to any successful business trying to watch their pennies, because pouring inefficient beer does what to you, boys?
Pours your money down the drain.
You don't need to pour your money down the drain right now. You just need to get a hold of Jeff Rourke and A Plus Beverage Solutions. Do like so many. Trust yourself with this man. Give him a call. Here's his phone number, Brian. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right, get your pen. 720. This is his cell phone. You can call him right now. If you're out there and you're saying, you know what, I need to add a line. I want a water or a nitro, a coffee, a spirit line, whatever.
Kombucha.
Your glycol system needs to be tweaked. He'll do it. He'll send somebody out for you. 720-272-3809.
One more time.
720-272-3809. He's locally owned and operated. He's the man. His name is Jeff Rourke and A Plus Beverage Solutions. Okay, it is a Monday. It's August 24th. And just barreling through this Monday, and we're having a great conversation right now with, in my estimation, a business mind that, listen up. If you've missed any of the show, rewind it, because we kind of talked about the growth of Punch Bowl Social and what that really took to come to scale. Welcome him back to show, Robert Thompson. Robert, thank you. You're in the green room today. Can you hear us, Robert?
Oh, no sound.
No sound.
There's a buzz, and it's very muted.
There's a buzz.
Did that go away?
There it is. Better.
It's better. Fantastic. Okay, Robert Thompson.
It's all good now.
Oh, perfect. Thank you for being patient. Get that squared away on our side. Now, Brian, you wanted to set up a question because I thought it was a good one before the break. Let's go into that conversation as we reinstate formerly Punch Bowl Social and now the new project, Thompson Growth Group.
Yes. And, Robert, thanks again for being on. One of the things that I'm really interested, your strategy. And your strategy goes around the concept of looking for the Millennial and Gen Z. And that was really what helped you build this awesome, company and structure what is a Punch Bowl Social. And like you said, you created this new category really in the food and entertainment world. Given today's landscape, where would your head and mindset be, and are you going to double down on that and go forward with it?
In terms of developing new product.
New products, yeah.
Let's start here. Let's just describe, if you will, Thompson Growth Group and what you're looking to do with that project.
Yeah. So Denver has become, a highly relevant economic market in the country, and it hasn't always been. It's been interesting, and it's been a tourist. People drive through here on the way to the mountains, but now it's relevant in its own regard. And then it also has cultural depth to it now, and the food scene is just really top tier. So Denver doesn't have a restaurant and hospitality restaurant growth product incubator like Phoenix and Scottsdale do with Fox Restaurant Group, and Philadelphia does with Stephen Starr's Star Restaurants, in Dallas with Front Burner. And then the grandfather of all incubators is Maggiano's, not Maggiano's as a product, but Let Us Entertain You in Chicago, what Rich Melman brought to life. So Thompson Growth Group is that incubator that'll be based here in Denver, where I will launch new concepts that are growth brands. And it'll provide the infrastructure and the support for these brands that I create get off the ground safely, to reach sort of an altitude where they can then, catch their own wings and take flight.
Great. So you've got 3 things that you're developing right now. Can we talk about Nobis, Dinette, and Fiona?
Yeah, Nobis is sort of the flashiest one that gets a little bit of the most buzz right now because it's a 40 to 60,000 square foot concept model. And it's an affordable private club oriented for millennials, with a private restaurant, private craft cocktail bar, gym, and remote office space. What we know is that big companies around the country are scaling back the requirement to bring people in to work in the office. That's going to be permanent post-COVID. But people have also found they can't work from home 5 days a week. We go nuts. So Nobis is your gym. It's your members only restaurant and club and craft cocktail bar, but it's also that third place that you can go office 2 days a week. And just, it sort of absorbs or becomes part of your whole lifestyle routine on a daily basis.
Wow. Describe what a day would look like in a Nobis.
I could, I guess if I were a consumer, based on the way that I behave, I would show up at 7 a.m. and I would work out. And, by 8:30, 8:45, I'd be showered upstairs, standing in line to get a smoothie and a coffee. And I would sit down in one of the remote working spaces and work until lunch, sit down and get a hand roll at the hand roll bar. And then push through the rest of the afternoon there until, you go into, have friends and that are non-members. You're allowed to bring some non-member friends in and have a drink in the craft cocktail bar and dinner thereafter.
Wow.
And can I ask, Robert, are you reserving that? Is that like an office flex? Is that what you're thinking? And are you reserving it, or?
So it's not actually, it's not co-working. Right. It's not, you won't take down exclusive space for yourself for a 30-person company. This is truly individuals that you get this environment to work out of, just as part of your membership dues.
Seems like like a very sweet health club. Some of those.
It is, but I want to make it accessible and affordable, hyper hip, right, and culturally relevant, but still accessible. This is not elite.
Now, a lot of times, just necessity, that's invention, right? Do you see this need out? Where is this coming from? This is burning inside of you somewhere. You're seeing this need. Where is it coming from right now?
Yeah. So remember, I talked about the real estate side of it also. That is one of the first 2 pillars. So I'll speak to that in a second. But the first piece is just that. So I developed Punch Bowl or Nobis a number of years ago. I just did not find the right time to launch it. And so as I was watching the dynamics form in the COVID environment and then predicting what it's going to look like afterwards, I see this need for folks to have this third place to go and spend time, because it is going to be permanent that large companies are they're going to shrink their office footprint and save the money. And then I have a lot of landlord relationships, mostly from my 10 years of growing Punch Bowl, and in understanding the way the big box dynamics work for these landlords and how their Macy's, JCPenney's, Neiman Marcus, and Lord & Taylor have all filed bankruptcy this year. So there is a massive void in the marketplace and capacity issues for these landlords. They need to fill them with 50,000 square foot novices around the country. And so when I put those two things together, that was all I needed to feel. In part, that was the reason to make the decision I did to leave Punch Bowl, because I wasn't just going to leave without a plan. Sure. And I knew that I had a product. I feel about Novus the way I felt about Punch Bowl in 2010.
Wow. That's strong. So with this concept development that's been in your mind for a while, and you just have to look to, okay, when's the iron ready? You know, when can we strike on this thing? Are you betting on the roll that there's going to be some great opportunities out there real estate-wise, or did you already have that lined up? What's the real estate climate look to you? You mentioned a few of these larger shutdowns, but I think it's going to be bountiful out there.
Yeah, it's I'm sort of allowing the mystery to unfold in front of me on this, because I think it's what I'm seeing is that the real estate opportunities are only getting better. The longer we wait, the better they will be. I'm looking at space in Miami, Denver, Montreal, Vancouver, and LA. I hope that I could get the first one open here in Denver. That's actually what I'm shooting for.
Any secrets you want to tell us? Any secrets you want to tell us?
We're not there yet.
So, Robert, it's interesting, though, because listening to you on paper and just in concept, this is like a home run. Like, it's a no-brainer. Is it right now?
I mean,
but that's
assuming COVID goes
the other
away.
side
Right.
of that. That's what he's touching on health clubs, which are one of the big targets, restaurants, which are one of the big targets, and then like entertainment as a whole.
See, now it could be genius to have this develop during this time to where everything kind of water finds its own level and may sink to the bottom. And again, it struck me when you said the Great Recession is when you started to develop Punch Bowl Social. This is really actually very interesting, Robert, how you are betting that life will go back as normal sometime in 2021, to be able to take a concept that is very much so a community concept.
Yeah. I'm a glass 3/4 full guy, maybe more so than half full. And there is a bright side in everything. I mean, look, my company just got wiped out, and I'm one of the victims of COVID. And I didn't lose a loved one. There are people that lost far more, emotional connections in their life related to COVID. But I'm an economic victim of this thing. Something I put 10 years into got effectively caught COVID and died. And I'm sitting here saying, this is a great time to be developing new product. And that's all I know how to do. I don't know how to look backwards.
Development mode. Let's move on to Dinette, if you would. Dinette Fine Foods.
Dinette is this is my quirky, really fun, but big scale opportunity product. It's an all-day concept, breakfast, lunch, dinner, small box, 3,500 square feet, extreme design forward environment, open kitchen.
What does that mean? Extreme design forward environment. What does that mean? That's nothing other than my nomenclature for saying we're putting a lot of energy into the design. Gotcha. It's important to us. Okay. And when it's a small box, we can sort of go heavy. I jokingly refer to it as an urban Waffle House for Gen Z and millennials. And the differentiation point of it is that it's going to lean into 26% delivery. And we know, and this is sort of an odd example because it's not the type of restaurant that I develop, but Denny's, which is just, this institutionalized, not very exciting, culinary concept. But what they figured out is that people love to come in for breakfast and lunch to that type of, to a diner type concept. They don't want to come in for dinner. But Denny figured out that
people will order delivery at dinner from those types of places. They're almost embarrassed to go into a Denny's at night. That they'll go there for breakfast. And I think that if we position it from a real estate standpoint in highly dense, multifamily, millennial and Gen Z heavy trade areas, we will get that dinner traffic that might normally wane off, in the PM hours for a concept like this. And so we'll be able to drive outsized revenue because we'll get what we're going to get at breakfast and lunch, and then we'll get sort of this syrup on top of to-go traffic in the PM.
And you see that as a nationwide scaled brand?
I think it's a 200-unit concept.
Whoa.
I think, I will start by putting 3 or 4 in the greater Denver area. But it is I think it's it's the smallest box, but the highest number of units of anything that I'm working on.
Do you find Denver to kind of be your, epicenter or ground zero for these types of concepts for proof?
I do now. Because there's been so much migration here, and I think Denver is a great slice of America because it's not just, the folks from the Rocky Mountain West. Mm-hmm. It's, I know as many people in Denver that are from New York as I do that are from Denver or the surrounding states.
Interesting.
So I think it's a great little, beaker dish for trying to put things together.
Fiona, please tell us about Fiona.
Fiona is a different version of experiential F&B than Punch Bowl. It has no gaming. It has no activations like that. But experiential F&B is something that to experience an activity like bowling, or to experience something that's an aroma or art, while you're dining and drinking in a restaurant, that transforms it into experiential. And Punch Bowl is an experiential food and beverage product. Fiona is one in a different different part of the restaurant spectrum. It's a polished casual concept that with a better for you culinary component. And because I'm going to have an in-house baker as part of the program, I'm able to make fresh bread every day and make fresh pastries every day. So there will be a coffee program that starts at 6:30 or 7 a.m. with fresh pastries. And then at 11 o'clock, we'll open up an artisanal sandwich counter using the fresh bread as we, then we get into the lunch and then eventually the dinner service of this polished casual restaurant. But the thing that sort of binds it together and makes it experiential is we're going to put a florist right in the middle of the restaurant. So that's where these experiences start to come in. So you're going to walk in the door, and so you're going to be invaded by the aromas of this flower shop when you first walk into the door. So that is, I think, going to be a really neat, esoteric type restaurant experience, which I think it's not a 200-unit growth product, but it might be 10 or 15.
With the last couple of minutes here with Robert Thompson talking about the Thompson Growth Group. These are really cool. One thing that really strikes me as you've went down the list with Nobis, Dinette, and Fiona, I'm not seeing any direct competition to Punch Bowl Social. Was that on purpose? Was that a legal thing? Were you asked to be out of that space? Do you have a non-compete? It's striking that you're not going after that space right now.
It's an interesting question, and I actually left Punch Bowl with no non-compete, so I am permitted to legally, contractually, permitted to get back into the category, and I haven't ruled that out. It's just I know that if I talk about that, that becomes the only headline. So, Thompson launches, competitive brand to the company he founded in Denver 10 years ago. So I don't have a plan yet for that, but it is on the table.
Robert, what is that? What is the one accomplishment that you're most proud of throughout this?
that I believe in my heart of hearts that I have helped multiple of my teammates that developed Punch Bowl with me, sort of gain access to this theoretical restaurant Hall of Fame. Like, we've created something that was so special, so differentiated. We defined a category, and the resume that some of my people built by helping put this thing together and scaling it the way that we did, of a concept model that didn't exist in this manner until we built it. That I'm really proud. I think there's going to be I think a lot of my people are going to have brilliant careers of their own using Punch Bowl as that springboard.
Oh, wow. Man, I'll tell you what, as you forge your way into the future and the charge seems to be behind you, you're going to need a lot of money, my friend. Is there anybody, money, where are you going to get the money? Is there can people get in on these types of things? Lots of investors watch the show.
Yeah, we, it's a funny thing to say, but raising capital isn't that hard once you figure out the formula. But raising the right capital is hard. Making sure that you're partnering with the right people. And I've taken a lot of pride over the years in being able to be selective and bring in the right types of capital partners that are accretive to the organization, to the brand, and to the ultimate mission. So I'm in capital mode, but it's as much searching as much as it is really vetting through the right type of capital discussions.
What do you want to leave us with? Thank you for the just wonderful interview, Robert Thompson. I appreciate it.
I'm just proud to launch this incubator in Denver. I think Denver deserves a national incubator, and if I'm fortunate enough to put it together and have success, then it'll just help add to sort of the trophies that we have here, as Denver and the national restaurant map.
In an undisclosed location somewhere in Denver, there he is, Robert Thompson, in his green room attic. It was a pleasure catching up with you today, Robert, and we would love to stay in contact with you as the weeks and months ahead come by.
Thanks, guys. Good show.
You bet. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Robert.
That was a good one. Up next, we have him standing by. Juan Padro's going to join us, and he was in this last news piece that I found very interesting by the headline. The headline from CBS 4 Denver says, successful Colorado restaurant owner sees opportunity amid coronavirus pandemic. I'm just wondering, as Juan Padro is a very outspoken gentleman, does he like to be referred to as a successful Colorado restaurant owner right now during this pandemic? Is it true? This news piece is very complimentary. We have nothing but good things to say about Juan Padro. We're going to catch up with him right here next on the Modern Eater Show.
Hi, guys. It's Rebecca Berry with HotSchedules powered by Ford. With all of the recent COVID rules and regulations, you may feel like you have way too many cooks in the kitchen. Well, fortunately, Ford is the leading hospitality provider and partner when it comes to onboarding HR, payroll, tax, and compliance needs. So that way you can keep all of those cooks in the kitchen and let us manage all of your administrative needs. That way you can focus back on your business and your growth plans. Give me a call for an analysis on how we can put that ROI back into your business and take those administrative burdens off your hands, because nobody likes handling taxes. That's rebecca.berry@forth.com, rebecca.berry@forth.com. And hey, you know what's cool, guys? Keeping your mask on so that way we can keep our doors open.
Hey, Modern Eater fans, I'm Don Trobo with The Annex by Ardent Mills, and I just wanted to give you a heads up about some of the great things we've got going on locally in the state. We're headquartered right here, and we're working with farmers in the San Luis Valley to bring you amazing Colorado quinoa. It's just like the South American stuff, but grown locally. We've got transitional wheat flour that's grown by farmers in Colorado and surrounding states who are in the process of turning their fields into organic. So we're taking that transitional wheat and turning it into flour, and now it's available for you to cook and bake with. And last but not least, we're now cleaning grain berries in Denver. So things like spelt or wheat berries or pearled barley, those are things that we're now doing right here locally and are available to you. Can't wait to share it with you.
Hey there, Barbecue All-Star. This is your year, so what if you weren't drafted? The only draft you need to be worried about is actually spelled DRAUGHT, and it's adult for the word beer. It's barbecue season, baby. Now get out there and grill your ass off.
There we go. It's their summer dinner series. I'm a farmer. What's up, everybody? This is Kaibab Savage, co-founder of Savage Spectrum Winery, home of Sparklet, Palisade's newest premier sparkling wine producer, coming to you live from our vineyard. You can see this beautiful vineyard behind us. We're so happy to pair up with the Modern Eaters for the Summer Dinner Series. Check them out online, summerdinnerseries.com, to get your tickets. You can come hang out with us. You can try our latest releases of our Sparklets. It's the perfect aperitif to pair with these amazing creations the chefs are going to bring you. Can't wait to see you guys, hang out with you guys, tell you about our story, get to know you better. Hope to see you there.
Man, that was.
I just had to get hyped up. I just had to get, feeling good.
Victory for bar and restaurant owners today. The governor announces last call in Colorado will be pushed back 1 hour from 10 to 11 p.m. That is still much earlier than the state's usual 2 a.m. last call. The governor had moved it up to help prevent young people from getting and spreading COVID-19.
But today he had an optimistic tone, saying the data shows things are improving and we may see more loosening of restrictions.
My hope is it can be, midnight as soon as possible, and hopefully the data will bear that out.
Alan Janae is continuing to follow how all these changes are impacting our local restaurants. And Alan, they're looking for any bit of relief.
Well, tonight, Tori, this bar behind me, the Vesper Lounge, is ready to stretch that service an hour later, and they could certainly use the revenue. Now, Denver has had an improving food scene over the past 20 years until COVID-19 really ripped it apart. The question is, will it ever be the same? Well, the answer is likely no. It felt good for John Hosack and Ginny Christian to get out from Parker into Denver this night.
This is us catching up.
On a warm evening, people were eating outside at Frank Bonanno's restaurants along 7th.
I think there's 3 phases of how you're looking at this. Is how am I going to get through right now? Then how am I going to really survive through the winter? And then what does it look like on the other side?
He knows many restaurants will not be back.
I think a year from now, your options are going to be limited, but I think what you're going to get is going to be the best of what was left.
COVID's a hell of an alibi.
Juan Padro runs Bardot, the Tap and Burger restaurants, and a half dozen others, and notes that there were bubbles in brew pubs and restaurants.
And I think a lot of it's going to be for the better, for sure. I mean, it's tough to tell somebody that's losing their business that they've been passionate about, that's been done a certain way for so long. There's some positives in this,
He sees opportunity, but fewer pricey places with slim margins.
There's going to be some lease deals out there for people.
I truly expect that all 10 of my restaurants in a year will be open.
Frank Bonanno believes strong operators will come through, but the people working for him and learning how to be efficient, he thinks, are the next generation of owners.
It's failures and challenges that make you great, or make you good, or make you learn.
Remember, small business is the big job creator in this country. And if you think about it, restaurants are really the ultimate in capitalism. It takes innovation, it takes hard work, and it takes a whole lot of time to make things good and make things work out. So if the restaurant industry, Jim, is able to recover, well, maybe that's an example for all of America. In Denver, I'm Alan Janae, covering Colorado First.
Great point, Alan. Thank you, sir.
All right, that was actually a very good point, and he'll join us now. Thank you for your time. This is Juan Padro, culinary creative. How are you, Juan?
I'm doing well. How are you guys?
Real well. And innovation, hard work, and time, those 3 things were labeled by Alan Janae there from CBS 4. Those are all things that you do on a daily basis, right?
Well, certainly people within my group, they're a lot smarter than I am. So, but yes.
You're always very modest and humble. The news piece, successful Colorado restaurant owners see opportunity amid coronavirus pandemic. This last week's been an interesting week, Juan. We've had, and let's face it, we've had folks in the bar business that they want to pull out their hair when the 10 p.m. and now 11 p.m. last call, and they talk to you about it. They say, why are they talking to Juan about it? I'm losing my mind. My business is late night business. Juan doesn't have any late night business, and they're talking to Juan about this late night business. It's a tough thing. Any reaction to that at all? And I'll go directly, the Mark Berzins of the world and the Chris Fuselays who go berserk when they hear that, why are they going to Juan? He doesn't have late night business.
Yeah, I mean, I don't blame them. I mean, those are really smart guys and really good guys, and they have to protect their business interest. And I certainly empathize with where they're at. It does in fact affect our business. We, on the weekends, for example, most of the restaurants are, have people in them until midnight. The Tap and Burgers, are sports bars. So, depending on the event, like, for example, if there's like a UFC event or something like that, that stuff can go well past midnight. And so it doesn't affect us maybe on a daily basis as much as it might affect Mark in particular, but it certainly has some effect.
When kind of control what you can control, and this is what I've seen your actions to be. I don't know necessarily if it's your motto or you really even openly say that, but I've seen you control what you can control through this outbreak, and with that had innovation came. Do you consider yourself a successful Colorado restaurant owner right now where nobody really wants to stand out as being successful right now? Are you seeing success, and do you mind having that moniker on you?
I mean, I haven't really thought about that. I think if what you're alluding to is that something to be embarrassed about, probably not. I think anybody that is navigating this and is still open deserves that label because it's a tough time, and I think that it does take a certain level of work ethic and some ingenuity. To be able to bring money in and bring guests in and make them feel comfortable. And these are much different times. You're operating a different business. But first and foremost, your responsibility has to be to the folks that work for you so that they can, make an income and take care of their families. And, that's kind of what we're focused on. And, if that means somebody's going to call us successful because of that, then okay. But, we're certainly not lining our pockets, or our bank account's not going is not getting more full, that's for sure.
Hey, Juan, this is Brian. Good afternoon. Wanted to ask, don't you think that word success is a little bit confusing? Just because you might have to close a restaurant doesn't mean you're not still successful. And so I think that there's some confusion in that for people. Would you agree with that? Or?
Yeah. I mean, I think so. I don't think anybody's saying you don't know what you're doing if you close due to COVID. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? But, I don't know how many we'll see what the percentages are. Right now, in Colorado, at least, I'm out on the East Coast right now, and I was driving around Philly yesterday, and I'm up in Massachusetts. I'm going to be in Boston in a couple days, and I'll take a look at what's going on there as well. But, Denver is in a much different position than those cities. And in particular, the neighborhoods in Denver, Lodi, and Cherry Creek. I live in Cherry Creek, but, I spend most of my time in Lodi, and those two neighborhoods, the restaurants are doing as well as imaginable, much better than I think anybody anticipated, to be honest with you, during this. Downtown, on the other hand, in Denver is, it's a really tough place to be. And I have just such great respect for people like Jen Jasinski and Alex Seidel and Frank Bonanno and all those folks downtown that are operating in that Troy, that are operating in that type of environment, because, the downtown's a ghost town, and to be able to continue to operate like that, that's the definition of success, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's hurry up and wait and hang on right now, and especially for a lot of the good ones, right? How do you ask this question? So we're seeing attrition, and some would say it's the quickening of maybe businesses that should have gone away a little while, and it was just the straw that broke the camel's back. That attrition that we're seeing right now would leave new opportunity. I'm not going to put that question on you on are we seeing the water find its own level with restaurants and some going away? I don't think that's a fair question, but I do think it was striking as Robert Thompson was on the show, now Thompson Growth Group, formerly Punch Bowl Social, saying that it's development mode right now, development mode, not asset management mode. Do you agree with that statement?
No, not entirely. I think it's probably both. I mean, for him, it's development mode because he's moved up. But I think if he was still with Punch Bowl, I think he'd probably, say it was a balance as well. Mm-hmm. Obviously, he's an incredibly prolific entrepreneur, and he's a very intelligent guy, and a guy that many of us look towards for leadership, and he's done a great job. But but if you're, well, I guess I'll use myself as an example. If you've got Highland Tap & Burger and Bardo and Senor Bear and Ashkara and they're all open, you're protecting your asset. Mm-hmm. And but that being said, I think it'd be crazy not to be keeping a really close eye on what's happening in the market. There's two things there, right? It's not about necessarily capitalizing on the fact that somebody else went out of business. And I know that a lot of people kind of view it that way. For me, I think it's an opportunity to have conversations with, commercial real estate developers and say, hey, how do we move forward, and how do we position restaurants and commercial real estate? How do we align them, and how does this look, going down the road as a win-win for everybody? Is it an amenity where commercial real estate looks at how they finance their buildings, and as part of that, building out restaurants and having partnerships from that perspective? Do we look at the way leases are structured? Which that's something that we're doing. I mean, signing a triple net lease right now, unless it's an incredible deal, I think is a really risky proposition. But, I think if you, can come to an agreement with, with a landlord where you can do a gross lease, where you can keep your occupancy costs below 8% and you can insure that. So do, a percent gross lease, then, I think more real estate owners are open to those conversations right now. And I think that is something that I would recommend that everybody, kind of does. And if you're losing one of your restaurants, or multiple restaurants, it's not, this disease doesn't come and take your brain away, right? It doesn't mean you don't have the intellectual property. The value's in the intellectual property, right? And I know that there's an emotional attachment, especially in food and bev, but, I think that there are going to be opportunities because there's still a ton of building going on in Denver, and there will be some second generation and third generation spaces that are coming available. You always look at your basis when you do something new, and if you can keep your basis low and sign a really good deal moving forward, and you've got a concept that you believe in that maybe just didn't work because it was in downtown Denver during COVID, I think that you probably, when the emotions are pulled out of it, have a pretty incredible opportunity ahead of you.
Wow, I just took notes on all of that, and that's fantastic. The triple net right now, to stay away from that, the percent gross lease, 8%. Where do you come with the 8% number?
Well, you want your occupancy. If you're a sit-down restaurant, your occupancy really needs to be below 8%. And so your occupancy costs are basically just what it costs to operate your business. So that's not just your rent and your taxes. It's anything else that is an expense that for your space. So like for a Tap and Burger, for example, it's all the way down to like the cost of DirecTV for us, right? So that would be the same with somebody like Mark Berzins or Chris or those guys. But, your trash removal, your electricity, all that stuff. So if you're looking at it from a percent rent perspective, you really need that number to be about 6%. Because the other stuff should be about 2%. So, and that'll get you to that point. So if you're at 8% occupancy costs or below, and you know how to operate, you're going to have a healthy business.
And your concerns, Juan, with the triple net, is that just because the occupancy is going to be down and you're going to be sharing a bigger piece of that pie? Or
well, you don't have any control over taxes, and let's be real, right? Whenever we go into a recession and we have to spend money to get out of it, that money's got to come from somewhere. I know we're just printing it right now, but the can gets kicked down the road a little bit. So, you tell me what happens when the government needs money. What do?
Yeah, they raise your taxes.
Yeah. They raise your taxes. Okay. So, and I'm not opposed to that, but it shouldn't all fall on the restaurant. You know what I'm saying? So it should be a shared expense. So, and that being said, if the restaurant thrives in a particular area, then there's also upside for the building owner. I think Garden Grace, Troy, is a great example of that.
Building, correct me if I'm wrong, some of your properties you own, some of them you lease. Am I right? So you're on both sides?
Yes.
Okay. So on from the landlord's perspective, and we're seeing a lot of interesting movement out there right now. One of them that strikes me is the Unique Properties listing the Esquire Theater, and basically probably just to make a move to sell it so I don't have to worry about my tenant at this point. The question that I want to give you is, so through COVID right now, and as people are looking to either landlords to secure their leases or just to continue with their tenants, should they be responsible for any kind of upgrades, whether it be air filtration units, anything to help the current tenant to actually operate a business during COVID? Who should incur those costs?
I mean, the government. The government should.
Interesting.
Yeah, there should be programs that the city and the state have, and I know a lot of cities and states say they're broke, but it can be a combination of grants and tax credits and things like that. Or there needs to be some mechanism that comes down from some government organization, because it's the government's responsibility to protect its people.
Got it. That's an interesting perspective.
That is.
So, Juan, as you're moving forward and you're looking a lot of costs, and we're seeing a lot of operators look to whether it's either a COVID charge, a $2 here, or build it in. Are you looking at ways to be able to recoup the cost of gloves, the cost of sanitation, the cost of whatever that you're incurring? How are you absorbing that right now, Juan?
We're paying for it right now, but we're lobbying real hard behind the scenes for tax credits for that.
But nothing you would want to pass along to the customer, the end user? Are you avoiding that?
We've talked about it. It hasn't been a priority for us, but I'm not opposed to that.
Do you keep a ledger for all of the costs that are coming through? I mean, could you give me a dollar amount if I said, here's how much does it cost for you to cover those costs for anything COVID related?
I think so far we've spent about $10,000 a store.
It's significant.
Yeah. Juan, do you think that you're a little bit insulated right now because of the location of your
which one?
Stores? One is not necessarily heavy concentration.
No, like downtown,
you look at someone like, Frank Bonanno came out in an interview and was saying, listen, I'm fine. I don't feel like I have any problem with all 10 of my concepts. I think that's very bold, because I think that there's always concern, because how long does this last? But much different question for you, Juan, is do you think you're insulated because you're on these fringe areas?
Well, Marin is downtown and not in a C+ location downtown, and Bellevue Tappenberger is in an office park in DTC. So I would say that those are definitely not insulated.
Yeah. Okay. Well, no, that's what I'm interested. Yeah.
Well, the three things that Frank Bonanno said in that last piece, and I want to just as this is the last one for me, Juan. The three things he said: how am I going to get through? How am I going to survive? And what does the other side look like? Is that where your thought process is as we move into quarter four and then the beginning? Can you even look at next year right now, Juan? What are the 1, 2, 3s for you right now, Juan?
Exactly that. He's 100% correct. I mean, I feel like we've solved one, so right now we're looking at what the winter looks like. And, we really need to put a little bit more pressure on our elected officials here to tell us what the hell we're able to do. They haven't said anything about a tent program. They haven't, if you want to enclose your patio, they're going to make you put bathrooms in because that's what code says. The city of Denver, they're trying. They haven't been super easy to work with, and that really comes from the top. So I think we need some leadership from Mayor Hancock, and I think he needs to really put his foot down and say, hey, listen, we need a drop dead date as to when we're going to give these people these answers, and same thing with Jared, with Governor Polis. Those guys got to get on the same page and work together and figure out what they're going to offer or what they're going to allow for. We've had a very difficult time with all this last minute stuff. And I'm sure Mark and Chris and probably had some complaints about how long it took to make that announcement to move from 10 to 11, like a lot of other restaurateurs. I mean, that stuff should never happen. And those guys know better. They've been in this business. They've been in politics for long enough and are in business for long enough that this last minute stuff, puts unnecessary pressure and unnecessary, stress on an industry that's already stressed. And as much as I admire Governor Polis and think that he's doing a good job in many ways, that's one area that he needs to be better at. And same thing with, Mayor Hancock, the city, I still don't even have my patio approved for Mr. Rosso, and I'm 11 weeks into this thing. That's inexcusable in my opinion.
Run as an independent, Juan, but I'll tell you, give my vote. Juan Padro for president. Would you want the job? Would you take that job, Juan?
The president job?
Yeah.
Yep.
You would?
If my country wanted me to be president, I would take it. Yes.
I think you'd be a great president, my man. I'd wonder.
I mean, if you think the comedy every day with Trump is a thing, wait till you see if I was in office.
Would you have a governor? I know you like to speak your mind. Would you hold back a little bit, or would you be full on Juan Padro?
Yeah, I'm not too good at holding back.
Yeah. Tell us a secret, man. We had an interview with a dude what was his name from the BMC Investments? Was it BMC Investments?
Yes, it was
in Cherry Creek.
Job.
Yeah, tell us the secret, man. He might let something slip. Tell us the secret, Juan.
I know where he's going on this one.
You'd have to ask Matt. He's the big man on campus. That guy's. I don't know if was he in studio or was it a Zoom call?
He was in the palatial office in Cherry Creek with the backdrop there. But what an accomplished guy!
Oh, is that right? He's a terrific human being. He's somebody that I admire greatly, and we've become friends over the years. We're both from Massachusetts, and so we have that connection. What he's done in Cherry Creek, I think is unprecedented. There's not, the city of Denver is lucky to have a guy like that. A lot of the development in Cherry Creek is beautiful and expensive, but he also has a really, really, really good feel for, what success looks like. And it's not all necessarily tied to just profitability. It's tied to soul and community and lifting people up and being inclusive. And those are my conversations with Matt. And he's been very open to those, and to have somebody in his position and his stature and, sit down and take the time to listen and want to be part of that process, I think is, I think is an incredible thing. And like I said, I mean, the city of Denver is a much better place because Matt Joplin lives here.
I agree. I mean, from a native Cherry Creekian that I am, kudos to him, and just philanthropic work that he does. That instituting kind of it's Cherry Creek's own stimulus package through him.
Yeah.
Wow. Right. I mean,
he cares about the business, but I think
other
it's
leaders
interesting
need to do that.
Well, when you got into this, don't you think the restaurant industry's changed a lot? Because guys like him and guys, like we were just talking with Robert, and he's got the Thompson Growth Group. You've got big money coming into the restaurant and entertainment that wasn't necessarily a big thing, was it, when you got into this industry, right?
No, look, the Food Network and things like that, kind of changed things. And, then restaurants kind of became like independent films and it's kind of the cool thing to throw some money at just to say you were part of it. And I think that's, somewhat still the case with, some of the higher end, restaurants. You don't invest in a fine dine restaurant because you want to make a huge return. That's for sure.
Well, it's interesting, Juan, because his properties, the Lost Leader is a restaurant in them, right? If you look at Matsuhisa and Still Creek development, you look at what he did over there with Departure and that development as well. He's coupled in the restaurant concepts into his buildings, right? So that needs to be brought in and addressed and nurtured and loved.
Yeah, and when you talk about lost leaders and things like that, I mean, I think you need to take a little bit more of a holistic view on that and understand the amenity and the value that a restaurant brings to the community. And it not only feeds a community, but it's a gathering place, and it's something that really when you live somewhere, people demand a certain quality, and Matt sees that, and I think that. For a long time, he felt like he needed to go out of state and bring, concepts like Quality Italian and Bill Bouquet and Matsuhisa in. And I think he's got a comfort level with what's going on in Denver right now. And I think that he's looking to leverage the incredible resources that Denver can provide and really lift up the restaurant community here.
I like the reset on the lost leader comment of the holistic approach. I couldn't agree with you more. I'm not going to say you're not going to do something in Cherry Creek, Juan, but I'm not going to say you're not going to do something in Cherry Creek. And I'm just going to say I hope you do something in Cherry Creek, Juan. There you go.
Time will tell.
I have a serious question.
Matt's got to pay for it.
Juan, this is Jay here. I have a serious question for you. I know you guys were talking about some other stuff just now, but what do you think about Tom Brady playing in Florida?
Well, I mean, I'm 46, and the warm weather does me justice. So I don't, he's old and he's been hit a lot. So I think he needs to go down and play in some warm weather. And he's got TB12, his nutritional supplement brand, and I think he wants to prove that those supplements work. And what better way to do that than go work under Bruce Arians, who's going to let you throw the ball 40 times a game to guys like Mike Evans and Godwin and Gronk and all these running backs. And he's got every weapon under the sun down there. So I suspect he's going to put up some big numbers. And I suspect a lot of people are going to be buying his supplements that are in their 40s to make them feel like Tom.
Wow, great. Hey,
I hadn't thought about that.
Who's going to have a better record this year, the Patriots or the Bucs?
I would say they're going to be about the same. I think the Patriots had a fair amount of people that opted out due to COVID and some pre-existing conditions and things like that. Their right tackle and their star linebacker Dante Hightower, Patrick Chung, they're all-world safety there. But they're deep in the secondary, so I'm not overly concerned about that one. But the linebacker situation is a little bit scary. It's going to be a lot of young guys, and it's cool to see them have an opportunity. If Cam Newton is healthy, they can win 12 games, I think. But they have a really brutal schedule. So my expectation is 11 for the Patriots. And then when I look at what's going on in Tampa, I think it's going to be, Tom typically settles into his seasons and stuff like that. So I would expect a 2-2 start, and I think those guys will probably end up around 11-5 as well. So if I have to answer the question, I've told people for 20 years, you're an idiot to bet against Tom Brady. So I'm not going to be betting against Tom Brady.
He's made a lot of money for people, that's for sure. Speaking of just betting, what do you think of legalized gambling or legalized sports betting in Colorado? You like it?
It goes on, right? I mean, it's like legalizing cannabis because nobody smokes weed, right? So it's, it's one of those things that, when you allow an NFL team to make Vegas home, that's a pretty loud statement that gambling is part of the future. And the only way that something like as controversial as gambling becomes part of the future in a sports league is because it makes more money than you can say no to. So if it's bringing in tax revenue and that tax revenue is used properly to help our schools and help our homeless situation and lower the tax burden on some of the citizens, then I'm all for it.
You're in Philly right now?
I'm in Massachusetts. I drove from Philly to Massachusetts in 3.5 hours today.
And if you're not going 90 bumper to bumper, they'll run you off the damn road. Are you?
Well, there was no bumper to bumper. It was open roads.
Was it really?
Was that a good time?
Yeah, I was like driving through Iowa.
Are you going to Boston? Where are you right now?
I'm at the house I grew up in, built in 1842. You can kind of see this old colonial guy here, and you got a little bit of check this out, the old fireplaces, and all that kind of stuff. And my mother has lived here for 48 years, and she just the house just went under contract. So we're trying to figure out what the next move for her is, and so we're gonna go drive and take a look at some apartments for her. And she's 83 years old, so but she's got a fair amount of life left in her, so she wants to do some traveling and not be tied down. So we're gonna put her in a position to do that.
That's so cool.
Hey, Juan, are you going to be on the East Coast for a couple weeks?
No, I'll be back probably Thursday.
I was going to invite you to, if you wanted to come down into sunny Florida.
He wouldn't go. Juan, it's a pleasure catching up, man. I love that you're back in your house there. My mother still lives in the house I grew up in. 48 years she's had the house. And you go back and look at it, I'm sure a lot of memories. It's a new chapter to move on from that. I'm sure it's not the easiest thing in the world. Good luck to you and your family.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Juan Padro, we love you, man. Safe travels and welcome, but we'll see you soon.
You got it. Talk to you later.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, Juan Padro. What a show.
Yeah. Well, today was a heavy business forward
that.
Monday, man. You got to jump in. Put on
it.
your big boy pants today.
My follow-up question for Juan was going to be, is there a subject that you're not a super genius in?
Oh, I know, right?
It's like I wasn't asking that question to be funny necessarily, but I was asking it because, most of the business part had happened, and that's where I come in, right? And so saying, like, well, how do you feel about Tom Brady playing? And it's like, well, listen.
I didn't know Cam Newton was in New England.
Here's his age. Here is his thing, breaks down the lineup of who's on the other side of the ball. Well, it just goes into
super smart
the whole
dude.
thing. Yeah.
Jay, what's coming up next? And then tomorrow, again, it's Tuesday. What does that mean? Summer Dinner Series continues. Week 7, guys. Only 2 left.
Isn't it? It's sad. It's like bittersweet, right? We had an awesome Summer Dinner Series.
Some people have told
And
me
it's been a
that
little
without
tough.
Summer Dinner Series, their summer would have sucked.
Oh, remember the couple we went to the other day that she had brought her boyfriend to the Summer Dinner Series because she said, you know what, there's nothing to do and I wanted to have fun. And this is what I found to have fun.
Let me play a couple commercials to talk about Aspen Baking, and then we can wrap it up.
Yeah.
We had Amber Strohauer. She fell off.
Oh, she dipped out?
Which works because Juan Padro fell in. But she fell out.
Fell out.
She's
in Texas. Well, people have stuff to do.
I know.
But we thank you, Amber, for stepping aside. We did want to get you on the stream today. Went and got some potatoes.
Yes,
for Justin's
I
dinner.
did go up there. And you know what? I got to give a huge shout out. We got a little video there, but they gave us some killer shallots with the top still on. I hooked Chef Brunson up
At
with
Strohauer
that.
Farms?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I just, you know,
Tell us what the difference is between shallots with the tops on and the tops off when we get back from break. Would you do that?
Are we coming back from break?
Yes.
We're coming back.
We are?
Well, I got to do Aspen
Just
unless
quickly?
you want me to do it right now.
No.
You want to go into this? I thought we just kind of
do
come back
Aspen,
and,
let's seal
and
it
chop
up.
it up
We're
and,
done.
and do a
Do
thing.
Aspen. I love Aspen. I love bread. I love you, Jay. Talk
Okay,
about it.
Okay, give me a second here. I
Got so much work to do.
I got a graphic and things, and I want to put our website. Aspen Baking Company, you guys, aspenbaking.com. That's where you go to find the most delicious bread you've ever had in your entire life. Do you like sourdough bread? Aspenbaking.com. Do you like sourdough bread? I'm a sourdough freak, right? Where I've said this before, but I did it again the other day. I cut the top off of a sourdough thing. You carve out the stuff. You butter it up. You grill it. It's grilling. You heat up some soup. I'm a clam chowder guy. Juan out there in Boston, he knows what clam chowder is. You pour the clam chowder into the sourdough bowl. You eat the whole thing.
Wait, the top's still grilling?
The top's grilling. You pour the hot soup inside of the sourdough bowl, the Aspen Baking sourdough
You heat
bowl.
up the bowl?
I don't.
You don't?
No. I mean, you can. I mean,
Yeah.
you throw it in the oven
You're
for a
putting
minute.
hot stuff
I
in
can't.
there.
I don't have enough
Yeah.
time for that. Once
Why
I
are
get,
you heating the
So
top
it's
up?
just the top is getting grilled.
No, the insides too. You cut out the innards. Because that's where you're pouring. That's where you're pouring the soup.
Yeah.
So you grill the top, which is a little frisbee dome,
and the
right?
innards.
and you grill the innards. You can smash it down because pulling it out, it's not. You smash it down a little bit, and you butter each side, and you grill the innards. And then when you sit down with a spoon, and I use a catering spoon because that's how I roll,
Like a big serving spoon.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
yeah.
I got you, Fred
A
Flintstone.
big ass spoon. How about that? You know what I mean? Hashtag how's your Aspen, aspenbaking.com. Then I eat the thing, and then you have the grilled stuff next to it, the top and the innards grilled, and then you eat everything. But here's the trick, though. You keep a little bit on the inside of the bowl because you're going to eat the bowl, too, and you don't want it to be, you want that juices, flowing or whatever soup it is, and then you kill that whole thing. Whether you want catering, they'll cater you. Rome sausage, are you a sausage lover? They do boxed lunches with delicious Rome sausage. You guys, I'm telling you, if you're a bread freak like me, aspenbaking.com is where you go.
You just made me hungry for a big Aspen Baking bread bowl.
We need lunch.
Clam
We need
chowder.
lunch. Guys, great show. Thank you to Robert Thompson. First time that we've caught up with Robert Thompson from formerly Punch Bowl Social and now Thompson Growth Group. I find it interesting as he says those three concepts, Nobis, Dinette, and Fiona. First of all, if it was anybody else but him, I'd be like, you're dreaming, right?
Yeah.
None of that's going to happen. You're not going to do
Well, I'm sure there's a lot of people still saying that.
Well, and it's interesting, but he can mobilize leases and he can mobilize money.
Well, the deal is he's learned how to tap. I mean, listen, you
But
should
using Denver as that incubator, it's kind of cool.
Well, yeah,
Whether it works
very
or
cool.
not,
it's like
we
I'll
can go
use
check it
Juan
out.
Padro's Tom Brady analogy, which is you look at his track record, a guy like Thompson, and it's like if you want to bet against him, go ahead, But
Well, he said it though during the interview. He said Denver is a great slice of America, and I think that's important.
Yeah, and he
Now-
said years ago he may not have said that, but right
Yeah.
now he feels that. Which, coming from a native Coloradan, part of me wants to be like, 'cause
Well, but just because it's that frog in the water.
Right.
You've been boiling for so long, you don't know you're
But I would
boiling.
agree.
Yeah. No, Denver has grown up. We've talked about
as
it.
long
It's-
as you don't come here and live in a tent on the side of the road.
Yeah. Well, as long as you
Hey,
wanna-
real quick,
wanna
I
get
was in a
it.
car accident today. No big deal. The only witness was a guy in the corner.
Well, you're not a good driver, so.
No, actually, someone backed up into him.
Well, so he says.
Yeah, I know. And it's
So he
just every time he says I'm not a good driver, I just want to take something off of him physically. Like one finger or just an ear or
man.
something. Take his ear off.
Great.
Because
So my closing statement to you, though, I think that the industry has changed, and that's where I was going with Juan Padro because, listen, I'll tell you, I don't think that there's any room anymore for hack business people to be in the restaurant industry. So, and what that means potentially is like, unless you're on your game and you are a chef and a businessman, I don't think that there's a lot of room anymore for those people. And that's because if you listen to the acumen of the guys that we had on today's show, hell of a lot of smart people are getting into this business. And when big business comes in and corporations come in, they're looking for things and they're looking for ways to tighten down and make this the real business. And like he said, we heard, Robert, did you hear that? 20% Did you hear that? It's 20%
He's
profit.
lost interest, man, in what you're
I
saying.
know. Well,
No, I'm not. No.
but
I just-
20%,
he's
20% profit, you guys. That's a big number for a restaurant, man. I know a lot of restaurant owners that are trying to push for 10. And if this guy has figured out sauce to get 20% out,
It's almost unbelievable.
it almost is. I mean, so I think it's changing, and I think you want a seat at this table. It's a new, it's a new world we're living in.
Yeah, watch people like that. Take notes.
Yeah.
Juan Padros of the world. Troy Guard, I think he's going to do just fine.
Yeah.
These guys. It's interesting, and that's really why we do the Modern Eater Show. Catch up with these brains. Tomorrow, our show will be a dinner, and dinner starts at 7. So the Modern Eater Show will start at 7 p.m., and then we'll resume our regular schedule Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. And then we'll have the last summer dinner series next Tuesday with Chef Troy Guard. I think there is actually, as weird as it sounds, a ticket left for that one. So go check it out, summerdinnerseries.com.
Summerdinnerseries.com.
And all the great work on the moderneater.com. I'll tell you what, I go to the moderneater.com, I beam with pride. It should be your daily resource. There's so much good stuff on there, and just a lot of hard work that's going in there. Go every day and bookmark it. Get the latest and greatest at themoderneater.com. Thank you for everybody involved today. Robert Thompson, Juan Padros. Sorry about that. Amber Strohauer Farms. Looking forward to your potatoes. For Faith Johnson, who's working very hard today, and Jay Parker and Brian Freeman. It's Greg Hollenbach. We'll see you as we kick the rock down the road. We'll do it again tomorrow. The Modern Eater Show continues.
Hey guys, it's Brian Rizzuto with Encore Energy, the guy who saves your businesses money on natural gas. I know these are crazy, crazy times right now. So while your business is working on increasing your sales, let me work on saving you guys money on your natural gas. I'll make it as easy as possible. Just provide 12 months worth of natural gas bills to me. I'll do the rest. I know you're really busy, so let me get to work for you. You can reach me at 720-245-5771. I look forward to hearing from you guys, and let me try to save you some money in these crazy times. Bye.
Hi, Charlie from Brews Beers here, and I'd like to tell you about our brand new Abbey 4-pack, featuring the 4 main products of Abbey and Trappist breweries in Belgium. So there's the single, the double, the triple, and the quadruple. And let's talk about singles today. Singles or ankles are traditionally monks beers served at meal times and during the day. They're low in alcohol, 3 to 5.5%, and they're often second runnings from stronger beers like triples or quadruples. This one is 3.8% ABV, and it's made from the second runnings from our triple. So what they're known for is lightness and drinkability. They're biscuity flavor with distinct hoppiness, and they're very refreshing. Great summer beers, available at either Brews location, 67th and Pecos, or at Colfax in York, and at fine liquor stores throughout the metro area. Pick up your Abbey 4-pack today, and take home some Belgian-style badassery.
We started Meridium Spirits because we love the way that spirits and cocktails can bring people together to socialize, to bond, to have conversations. Well, right now we've got some big conversations to have. Coop Vodka and Coop Gin are available at liquor stores across the metro area, but if you can't find us or would like to have us behind your bar or at your restaurant, send us an email, info@meridiumspirits.com. We know things are a little different these days, but think of us the next time you're planning a virtual happy hour or a socially distant picnic. And keep an eye on our social media, Coop by Meridium, for all the latest and greatest.
Hey, Dave Thibodeau here. Hey, friends of the Modern Eater. This is Dave Thibodeau from Ska Brewing and Peach Street Distillers. I wanted to let you know that our new brew distillery is up and running again in Boulder. And we've got a great selection of Ska beers, nearly 30 on tap. We've also got all of our Peach Street spirits available, a great mixology program that we brought down from the Western Slope and Palisade. We're open limited hours, Wednesday through Friday from 3 to 10. And then we open up earlier at 10 a.m. on Saturday and Sunday and get some brunch action rolling. We have 2 great patios. Socially distant seating is available. And you can always check for more information at scastreet.com, and hope we become your new favorite neighborhood spot. and I'd like to meet you there in the not too distant future for a beer or a drink soon. So take care, be healthy, and stay strong, and I'll talk to you later.
Hi guys, it's Cody Ann from Aspen Baking Company. We specialize in fresh, preservative-free, amazing bread. But with all the food news, go right here to the Modern Eater.